Folks, hello and welcome to Talking Crit, the random party generator.
These people.
All these oddities and
Where they people come from? What the hell?
Welcome. Just going to give you your panel real quick. Look at it. Or the room's already filling up, even with our viewers. Next to me is Don Samora of Wizard Tower Games.
Hey!
You'll see Don on Thursday nights with me. Below Don is Bad Mike, a.k.a. the Midnight Satan. Below Bad Mike is none other than the only Jim Kitchen, auctioneer extraordinaire. Moving over to Old Man Grognard every other Friday night. And above, nice hat, Glenn.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. There you go.
You might take the one hat off to put the other hat on, Glenn. That's a pro tip.
I think that's in the manual.
I appreciate that you've been drinking that hard before the show.
This is a preview of Triple D Friday. So
okay, none other than Conley, Fat in the Attic. We didn't tell anybody we were going to do a smorgasbord, but it is kind of like the holiday dinner tonight.
This is a tradition Eric and I have done pretty much every Christmas.
Yeah,
we at the end of the year we just say let's just get everybody on that's on whatever channels are on, and
it's a gaming Christmas dinner where
and we do it. So this is kind of
everybody eats then falls asleep.
This is our cluster F of that we do, and look, I mean, Eric, I don't know if you got some questions. I've got some questions I want to ask everybody. We can go. We're going to ask stuff like, what was your best product you enjoyed this year? Well, we're just going to throw a bunch of stuff out there and let all these guys, because we have a lot of gaming experience and a lot of different opinions here. So we're just going to throw stuff out and say goodbye to 2024 and.
Right, folks, next week is Christmas. We don't have a show on Christmas. I know. Tenkar has no life. I've been told that. Okay, I understand that. But my family has lives.
Christmas, we can't miss Christmas.
And there are certain expectations. Although I expect,
and then 7 days from that is New Year's.
Yeah, but New Year's Eve is the important time. New Year's Day, everybody's awake by 8 p.m. It's not a big deal.
New Year's Day is hockey, pizza, and recovery, and
not
in that order.
I actually have a place. We actually have a place to go New Year's Eve, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, nice!
It's like a shelter, or
yeah.
Oh,
yeah. We're wearing funny hats.
I was worried about you, Glenn. I was kind of worried. I didn't know.
No. We got an Elks Club here that does.
Okay.
They're going to do like karaoke and all that other stuff. So.
Danger!
I'm trying to get legit drunk on New Year's Eve.
Oh well, legit drunk's better than
as opposed to illegitimate drunk.
As opposed to stay home and do it.
I'm not even drinking tonight, guys, because I don't have anything. I guess I could drink some straight rum. What the hell?
I'm going to turn off my background for a minute because I got two things in the mail today. Gary Gygax's The Hermit.
Oh, yeah. Okay. From the Kickstarter. Nice.
From the Kickstarter, from the Trolls. And it said that Rach has now gotten very good at estimating prices for these products. Because I also got from Pay Center.
Oh, look at that.
Of the Unknown. That looks pretty cool. How much is that normally? Like $40? I went.
It's backwards, but yeah.
35, but
Yep. So it's backwards on my screen. What's his name?
Eric's is reversed, because he always yells at us.
Hey, what can I tell you?
Eric's trying to foil the assassins.
Who let the St. Bernardine? Oh, that's Rob. Sorry, Rob.
Well, yeah, it's my Cossack hat.
I didn't know we're doing hats. Okay.
It is the warmest thing on earth
I
ever.
do hats all the time. You guys don't give it the program.
I don't have no hat. I do. Hold on.
Jim looks like a demented Mr. Howell from Gilligan's Island.
Love it.
He said it. I did.
No, come on, Lovey.
If we need a hat, I have a hat.
You can't get pregnant, Lovey.
Oh my God!
Well, Lovey.
That's so much better than the regular hair. I don't even have words.
Oh,
Hey,
Hey, that is a look. That is a good look.
I
Damn.
started doing hats about 10 years ago. That's when I stopped combing my hair. You know, you get up in the morning, just put the hat on and go.
You still have hair? Holy shit!
Oh my
Yeah, I got a
God.
little bit. See?
Oh.
It's just hiding.
Whoa, whoa,
It's
whoa.
still there. It's just
I need
hiding.
that glare, kid. I don't need to go blind.
No, that's up there with Don. But
Yeah.
no,
Don is unamused. Don is just
I'm screwed.
He's the adult. He's the one adult in the room. The rest of this is
see
just
the way my
Yeah.
hair is. I don't want to get accused of having a comb over.
okay. Well,
So-
no, I'll shave you before I let you come over again. Don't worry.
Just
No
embrace it.
comb overs.
I'll save you.
Yeah, no.
Embrace
mullet.
Hey, Glenn, it's easy to avoid the comb over. Just shave it all off.
There you
I
go.
don't-
You
know,
would be
if
one
I
one
had-
badass looking bald guy.
If I had marital permission, I would. I always tell her, I says, I'm going to get one of those haircuts like Bruce Willis. You know how it's all like crew cut? That's what old guys do when they lose
You
their
look
hair.
like a heavy in a 1940s noir movie.
It was
if you-
my
That's
wife.
right.
That suggested I should
You
shave
need to
it
get
all
that
off.
head shaved.
Mr. Spleen. Take him outside and rough him up.
I tell you, when I was working for the radio station, they took a picture of me in my Hawaiian shirt and the hair. One of the guys said, "Hey, look, it's a new Mafia Don."
Oh yeah. Oh, if
I
you're-
was
yeah, if you're-
doing peyote with Marlon Brando.
So I start looking like Tony Soprano, you know.
Well,
Excellent.
anyway, I'm going to let me throw something out there. I just want to say, first of all, another
You're
year
welcome.
talking crit, and I'm just going to look. Eric and I started doing this about 3 years ago, and
Yeah.
just because we talked about it for 5 years, and we thought, let's go ahead and do it. Eric almost died like 3 times that year. We thought, let's just do it.
Oh,
And
then
I'm
for you,
not joking. I'm not joking. He really did almost die. And
Yes,
so
we did.
one time he peed out like 17 gallons of pee because his body was so.
let's be a bit more accurate.
Oh, I'm
Almost
sorry.
60 pounds of water
How in the hell do you piss out 60 pounds?
over the course of 3 weeks, and
Oh, 3 weeks. Okay. I
yeah,
thought this
this-
was like
this
in
is
one
why-
day.
Yes.
This is why I thought he was going to
Jesus
die
Christ.
because no human does that, dog. So anyway,
He constantly had a motorman's friend strapped to his leg.
it's like hold on a second. I know you got to go to the bathroom, but you got to pee into this. Why? Oh, and we got to save it. Why? Because we got to measure
it's
it.
a medical. You're a
They
medical
did the same
phenomenon,
thing to
sir.
me. They
Let's
did the
save it.
same thing to me when I had my CHF.
Yep,
Yeah.
same thing.
All right.
Just-
But anyway, so
The gallon
we
ones, they sit there, they go,
We've reached the point where we're now bragging about our medical.
How much have you peed? I peed bigger than you.
Jesus
So,
Christ.
listen, so anyway,
Speaking of
talking
which,
crit,
Friday I had
this
my
is a tradition we had for three years where we'd have just a bunch of people on to talk at the end of the year and talk about different stuff. And I first of all want to say thanks very much to Jim for joining us this year. It has been awesome having a third.
Oh my God.
And you've literally seriously, dude, you've classed the place up immensely. At least every once in a while, Eric and I take a shower, wash our hair now, which never used to happen before. But
I shaved.
yeah,
What are you talking
shaved
about,
today.
man?
I shaved too.
Madness.
But yeah, so we've had a great year. It's been super fun. Next year is going to be great. We already have like 5 people lined up for special guests next year. We haven't even 5 people. It's not even 2025. It's going to be amazing. We got some great stuff going on next year. But Eric does a bunch of other stuff. Obviously, he does the Friday night shows, and he does a show with Don and oh gosh, I'm blanking.
Tom Roll.
On Tom on Thursdays, and so pretty much everything is represented here, and I'm sure Rachel's in the back somewhere. So you have Gator Health represented too.
Rach was like, I'd love to be a part of this, but it's going to be insane.
It is.
And like, well, and by the way, my son is visiting. He leaves tomorrow morning, so right now he's in the bedroom with the dog snuggling. So she's like, I'm just gonna make room for myself to exercise in the room he's sleeping in, and that way, when he comes back, he'll see that I use it.
Mike.
So, yes, sir.
I
Yes?
forgot to say, you're welcome.
Oh well, but anyway, thanks to everybody here. It's been we've had a great year, lots of fun, and then look, it's just a great. I mean, I call it a network now. It's Tank Cars Network. It's a great network because every show's a little different, does things a little differently. We all jump back and forth between shows, it's just fun, man. It's so fun to be a part of this. And thanks, Eric, for doing this and for doing all the hard work. So guys like me and Jim and Rob and everyone, we just show up and everything's ready to roll. And so we appreciate it. But I just so this was an interesting year because it was the 25th anniversary of D&D. I'm sorry, the 50th.
25th.
I already forgot because it was so stupid. They did such a terrible job.
It was the lamest 50th anniversary.
Yes, the lamest 50th anniversary of anything, except for maybe G.I. Joe's. That was the, and Jim can attest, that might have been the worst. That might have been the worst.
If Dungeons and Dragons was a 50-year marriage, WotC would be sleeping on the couch for how lame the 50th anniversary went. Like, there's no question.
He didn't bring her to the restaurant. He brought her to McDonald's and asked.
That's right. He brought her to McDonald's and expected
specials.
shenanigans on the way home in the car, and got the couch with the dog.
Can I have? Is there 2 Big Mac sale or something? Do I have to go to Arby's across the street? Yeah, it's that kind of 50th anniversary. So I'm going to start off this. We're going to give 50th anniversary. Okay, we'll start with you, Jim, because you're gonna ground us here. What do you make of the WotC 50th year anniversary? What went wrong? Nothing went right. So what went wrong here, and why did it go wrong?
I think they approached this in the safest way possible, and the results are absolutely as tepid and lukewarm as you could possibly expect. I have said before, I'll say it again, that if I had been the president and CEO of WotC, I would have told the licensing and marketing team, so help me God, if I don't walk into a Target or a Walmart and see 50th anniversary D&D shower curtains and towels and bed sheets and posters and every goddamn piece of artwork we have licensed, I absolutely need it to. I would say you have 365 days to make it fucking rain money with the intellectual property and the images we own and everything else. And I would have given them those marching orders somewhere around February of 2023 and told them, like, on January 1st, shit better start dropping, and we should have licensed everything, and it should be like a B-52 carpet bombing campaign that doesn't stop from January 1st until December 31st. I want underwear with 50th anniversary D&D. I want everything. And the fact that they use their trusted partners.
Sorry to interrupt, Jim, but don't forget about the coloring books too.
Oh my. Well, but whatever we got is a tenth of what we should have had. And truthfully, I find it it's a missed opportunity. Now, Hasbro institutionally doesn't do big celebrations, right? Eric, we had an episode where I talked about how pitiful Hasbro's 50th anniversary of G.I. Joe was. Again, this was the most corporate safe celebration of a 50th anniversary of a troublesome intellectual property that you could possibly have done. If it was me, you would have had the giant body pillow of Keith Parkinson's Rolf Priestess. You would have had that to snuggle with, right? You would have everything under the sun, and instead you got what you got, and it's just a terribly shameful, embarrassing waste of an opportunity.
Okay, so I think I'm going to just parse through that, Jim. So Jim thinks it maybe didn't go well. So
abominable. It's abominable.
So Don, what is your? Why did it go wrong, and how did it go wrong for you? The 50th anniversary.
I think they really lost a chance. I mean, I agree with Jim. I think they should have marketed the shit out of this. But I also think what they did is they lost some really unique opportunities for the collector's market. I think what they could have done is they could have done some type of special event, whether it's a documentary or something they had their hand into, where they got the originators of D&D involved, people like Cask and all the survivors out there of the original D&D, Menser, etc. I think they could have done something like a very limited numbered release of the core original, either BECME or Holmes or AD&D manuals. I mean, could you imagine PHB1, DMG, and the Player's Handbook in a limited edition bound set? Make that 50,000 limited copies. I would have been up for about.
I'd have bought it.
Gen Con. What about Gen Con? You could
absolutely.
You could have done something beyond the. They had a display, and I'm sorry to take your time, Don.
No, you're fine.
Gen Con is the single. Why on God's green earth did you not drop the 2024 edition of the books at Gen Con to sell?
Even that, Jim. I mean, why didn't they sit there at one of the major conventions like Gen Con, bring all these the survivors of it? I mean, these people. Not trying to sound morbid, these men are dying off. We are losing these really special people, and they just could have done something special. And I just think what they did was, and I think you're right, they just went ahead. They said, "Well, what's the safest way we can handle it so we don't make people upset?"
Yeah, no, they
really dropped the ball. They just screwed up.
Just riffing on that for a second, Don. I think this goes to show, which we know, that they don't respect the creators of this hobby. They don't respect.
Absolutely,
they don't. They distance. They didn't just say, hey, we're going to bring these guys in for conventions. We want these guys like Tim Kask and heck, even Rob Coots. Bring him in. Bring these guys in and talk about it. No. They distance. No, we want nothing to do with you guys.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to talk. I'm not trying to talk for Tim Kask, but I literally asked him, did you ever get a reach out? Did anyone ever even contact? And he was like, no. So they didn't even
because they don't know who he is. Don. There's people that don't know.
No, I disagree. They know who he is. They don't want them. They never wanted them.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
They never wanted them to be a part of this, and they were trying to put all those guys in the rearview mirror. And that's what they accomplished.
Eric, what do you where did give us so we got some good ideas there from Tim and I'm sorry, for Don and Jim. Right. Add to that, what do we got here?
Well, for the 40th anniversary, didn't we get an actual wood box of the original white box?
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Yes. Right. I had 2 copies. I gave away one for OSR Christmas one year. By the way, OSR Christmas on TankCarsTavern.com. It's going out now. We're up to day 2. Should be a lot of fun, a lot of great gifts. And as of now, they're all digital. So if you're outside the States, feel free. You're not going to get cock blocked because nobody wants to ship to you. But they did that. And before that, they were doing the reprints, right, of the classic AD&D. Now all we get are reworkings of classic adventures to modernize their sensibilities.
Yep.
If they could, and I say they, I'm not even talking the corporate chills. I am talking the people in charge of the brand IP would be very happy to erase anything for D&D that is older than 5 years. They would,
and we know whose fault it is. It's Kurt Gould.
Yeah,
Kurt Gould is the man behind the curtain.
He quit, and then after he quit, then it was all.
Well, he got outed, right? Yeah. Because once we discovered that he was the Axis of Evil, that's when he had to okay, I'm leaving. I've been here. It's all Kurt Gould's fault. So Kurt, we know your.
Rob, what is your take on this 50th anniversary? Why'd they screw it up so bad?
I think it was, back in the 60s, they had that terrible Apollo 1 fire, and everybody was out to look for somebody to blame, and Congress had astronaut Frank Borman, testifying, and, they were really trying to pin him down to see who they can blame, and he just simply told him it's a failure of imagination. Yes. Looking back, it's obvious, but we just didn't appreciate we didn't imagine that a pure oxygen environment at sea level would be that dangerous. And once we did, everything else follows to what to do to fix it. And that's what happened with the 50th anniversary. And why did they have a failure of imagination to do anything about the 50th anniversary? Sure, it could be about fear, but it ultimately, boils down to a lack of leadership. They kept firing everybody every year, and they couldn't build up the institutional memory that would allow somebody to say, hey, we got a couple good stuff here. We should start this in February of 2023. But no, they had a handful of people who are probably afraid for their jobs because they know the annual Christmas firing. So, failure of imagination.
Glenn, I saw that Tom has entered here. Tom and Glenn, you guys have anything to add? So we're discussing how did they screw up the 50th anniversary of the war? What did they do?
But wait.
Well,
I'm sorry. Hold on. The evil master has spoken in the comments, and Kurt has said, "Is there a risk of focusing too much on the 50th anniversary, making the brand seem old and lose appeal to the younger generation?"
No.
Well,
it is the 50th anniversary, Kurt. Well, because what Kurt's lacking to understand here is that it is the 50th anniversary. Why does WotC have such a golden product? Why are they making so much money? Is because of, if it was not for people like Kask and Mentzner and such, Kurt, frankly, would not have a freaking job.
Well, he does have a freaking job.
Well, he does have a job now. But it is because Wizards of the Coast has such
I think we need to get
property.
Kurt on the show. Kurt, get to your computer now.
Because of this.
We're gonna beat you up. We're gonna brigade you in just a second. So Tom, what do you got anything to add here? What did they screw up 50th anniversary? And why did they screw it up, or how did they screw it up, or where did they screw it up?
Rob said that it was a failure of the imagination. I would say they have no imagination. Is why they screwed it up. I mean, and going back to Jim Kitchen's, going to the licensing department, and you all are fired if it ain't raining. Toothpaste, D&D toothpaste, toothbrush, shower curtains. Listen, you have all these players out there who have family, and the family knows they play. So it comes Christmas time. What are they gonna? Oh, let's get something D&D. You walk in the Target. There's the shower curtain. Oh, this is nice. They get their 26, 28-year-old son who plays D&D a shower curtain or a set of towels or kitchen hand towels.
No, I don't know. Grandma and Grandpa aren't that dumb. Grandma and Grandpa aren't that dumb. And I'm sorry, Tom. Nope, it's Adult Swim. Kids get out of the water. That shit doesn't fly. Like, really and truly.
My wife is Miss.
Oh no, Grandma won't be able to discern a shower curtain from a box set. No, doesn't fly.
I would have slippers here at the bedside.
Dude, your hat's too tight. Your brain has no circulation.
I would no. So
take a drink. You take drink. You find.
Look, it all goes back to
tap room. In Soviet tap room, you take drink when wrong.
No, we've talked about this all year on the show. There's no more creative people at WotC, right? It's bean counters. It's all Amazon execs, Microsoft execs. AI. It's all these executives from other companies they brought in who don't know RPGs, don't understand RPGs, don't understand the history of it, and they sat there and they told them all, look, we're going to run this like any other company. We're not going to pretend like that this is an actual special hobby. This is just like any other company. What would you guys do? And it's not like any other hobby. It's not like the video game industry. It's not like it's just not like it. And nobody understood it. There's no more creatives. And I've said this before. This is the first time in TSR or WotC's history there has been no creatives at all. Zero creatives on the decision making process. It's all bean counters.
But the problem, Mike, is I believe they do have creatives there. I think what's going on is corporate is stifling them.
Corporate.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think their corporate, leash keepers are stifling them. I think they're coming out with very good ideas, probably, and probably what is happening is they're saying, no, that's not good. That will offend. No, you can't say that. No, don't put that in writing. And I think they're having unfair, I think they're having unfair rules placed upon them and limitations. Basically, they have a boot on the back of their neck.
Kurt claims there's more licensing than ever before, and I don't disagree. I think Kid Robot has taken the property and run, as evidenced by the plush statue behind me. There's a ton of great products, but it's the 50th anniversary.
Right.
And
there you go. There you go. Yes.
And truthfully, if there's more licensing than ever before, that's great. But they should have gone through every single note. Anything that ever was made as a licensed product, they should have arranged to have something similar made this year. Birthday stuff, the paper plates, the napkins, you could have a D&D birthday party, sheets, bath towels, all of this should have been in the works and buttoned down and sorted out. And I would have gone to one of our trusted licensed partners and I would have said, here's the deal. We want to recreate all the things we've ever done, right? I would have gone to Montana Silversmiths and said, we want buckles. We want buckles, and we want TSR buckles with the 5 heads of Tiamat. And we want people to, for the first time ever, we want our customers to wear something that's going to make somebody look at their crotchular region and say, oh my God, that's amazing.
You don't do that already? I do that every morning.
Well, good for you.
But you make a good point, Jim, because what did we not have this year? We didn't have reprint. Look, the 40th anniversary, the box set was great. Just do it again. It's out of print now. It's selling for $500 on eBay. Reprint the OD&D box set again. Have somebody else do the covers. Reprint, do premium reprints of some of the best stuff. But it all goes back to what we've all said here, is they're trying to move away from the old part. They don't want to be identified with anything before 5th edition.
Right.
They want the history of D&D to have begun 10 years ago when 5e came out, and everything past that is something you don't worry about or don't think about.
Because
think about
them. They're embarrassed by the history.
Get them. If they're a comparable IP where they totally ignored everything beyond a cutoff date, and it actually worked out for them. Is there any big IP that scheme actually worked? Or is it just common wisdom, and so thus we can chalk it up to failure of imagination?
Rob, I chalk it up to the fact that these are people not from the industry. They don't understand how that works in this industry. They understand how the video game industry works. They understand how pay to play works. They understand, how
They don't
understand how this industry works.
In the video game industry to ignore the history of a video game prior to 5 years ago. Has that worked?
Dude, I just, again, it comes down to they wanted a safe 50th anniversary. They want everything about James Eggert in the background. They want everything about the Satanic Panic in the background. They want demons, devils, controversy. All of that has been taken out behind the shed, gently held its hand and put one behind its ear, and then and that was it. And
look out to the sunrise.
And so, I had a very interesting discussion with my son about Dune and the Dune movies. And I said, if you loved Dune and you were a Dune aficionado and you wanted all the gritty detail, you go to the David Lynch film and it's all there. Even the super extended version that showed up 2 nights on cable channels in the 90s, right? Where literally they've added in all this footage and people's eyes go blue and then they're white, then they're back to blue again.
And as my wife tells me, the soundtrack didn't sync up.
Right, but all of that dialogue is straight out of the book, except for the weird sound weapons, which we won't talk of. But the new version of Dune is streamlined Dune.
Yeah.
There's some detail there, but for the most part, all the granular, like weird Frank Herbert shit is gone, and they've gone with a Dune that is palatable to casuals, to people who aren't deep in the property. And that's what we've gotten with Dungeons and Dragons. We've just seen every possible piece that could be troublesome amputated and cauterized and cut out and carved out. And what we have now is we have this homogenized, pasteurized, safe version of D&D that dear God in heaven, please don't offend anybody with this version of D&D. That's what we now have. And the 50th anniversary, they marked it by putting out this new version of D&D that is the most inoffensive version of D&D I've ever heard of. Anybody who has played 5th edition, even the people who just have played 5th edition are like, wow, what? I'm going back.
Yeah,
Right?
I've actually been told that, Jim, by several people who got into the new, whatever you want to call it. What the hell's the name of this new edition? Is it
2024? That's all I call it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 2024. Everywhere you go, it's labeled. When you're given the choice, you can pick 2014 or 2024.
15, I think it's 15.
Yeah, because I was in a Barnes and Noble,
Oh.
and I was looking at one of the books, and two guys walked up, and they picked it up, and the one guy said, "Don't buy it," and his buddy said, "Why not?" And he said, "Because they're 5e players."
Yep.
And the one guy goes, "Oh, I have the copy. That's the D&D I was telling you about the other night." And the guy says, "Oh, heck no!" And he put
Hell
it back,
no.
and I got in a conversation with them.
Yep.
And they were hardcore 5e players, and they said they just took 5e and they poured rubbing alcohol all over it,
Yep.
just to try to sanitize the shit out of it.
It's absolutely it's the safest version of Dungeons and Dragons that should offend. If you're offended by this edition of Dungeons and Dragons, I'm curious what it is about this game that offends you. Not all of our viewpoints of it's offensive what they've done to it, but if there's something in the content that offends you, I want to know what kind of delicate flower you are that your garden hath been disturbed by this serpent. Please tell me.
Well, I'm going to throw out a controversial point. I'm going to argue that is not the worst problem with the 2024 version.
Do it, Rob. Go, Rob. Do not leave us hanging.
Bring it up.
Rob has escaped dangerous territory.
The worst problem. Usually, hardcore gamers who like to build stuff and really get into the rules, they love new shit because it's more stuff to play. It's a new opportunity to rebuild things and try out their latest schemes. Okay, now I game a lot with them, players with this mentality, and it's a fun way. It's for them. It's a fun way to play. It's not always my cup of tea, but the biggest sin that D&D 5e committed is it is frustrating familiar. So say, for example, you want to quaff a healing potion in the middle of combat. What do you do? If you play a D&D, if you've been playing D&D 5e all this time, you know it's to be an incidental action. But now it counts as a bonus action. And that's just one rule. Multiply that 100 times throughout different classes and the core rules themselves, and you get an addition that is frustrating familiar. On appearance, it looks like 5e. You're kind of doing all the 5e stuff, but when you get it down to the nitty gritty, okay, I got to plan out what I'm going to do as my character. All of a sudden, you're back to diving into the book, looking up stuff. And I tell you, from long experience with other edition changes, not with D&D, but with GURPS and stuff, frustrating familiar is not the route you want to take because it makes players throw up their hands and they say, fuck this shit. I'm going back to what I know. I don't want to reread all this stuff.
May I summarize your point, Rob? Because I think I've got an illusion that cuts to the heart of this.
Okay.
This is like going up to the heart-stoppingly attractive woman, and you're doing well, and it's familiar, right? This is you. It's going really well, and she seems to be on board with the games you wish to play.
Go on, but slower.
And then she's got long flowing hair. She's a charisma 17. He's a wisdom 16, and she sees to the true core of your inner beauty.
Oh,
but here's the problem.
Okay.
She's underage, and her dad's a cop.
Oh.
Hello.
I get
I'll
what
be
that
seeing you
could
later.
apply to. I don't think it applies to the point I'm making.
Okay, so
I don't think that was Rob's point.
Let's
No,
move
but it's
on.
true, right? It's
Talk
familiar.
about it.
and it's what you want
Anticlimactic.
to
I was ready for a
play.
moment here.
It's what you want
Okay,
to
we're
play,
gonna move
but
on.
it's not going to be what you want.
All right, we're going to move on. So I'm going to start with you on this one, Eric. Okay, this is obviously a possibility and obviously can't happen. But tomorrow the phone rings. Watsy says, "We fucked this thing up so bad. We don't know what we're doing. We see you have this thing on on YouTube. Come work for us. You have complete control. I'm going to give everybody here a chance to be complete control of Watsy next year. What can we do to come back from what we did this year? Eric, you're in charge. What are you going to do?"
I mean, listen, I might not be a fan of 5e, but 5e has driven this industry as a whole, and the OSR even more so, because so many OSR refugees that we've gained, illegal immigrants, whatever you want to call them, have come from the 5e world, and it's a great introduction. But I think the best thing they did for the OSR is to give us D&D Forever, or D&D 2024, whatever they want to call it and not call it. So I would personally just kill D&D 2024. I would probably fire the vast majority of their staff and recruit creatives from the OSR and beyond. Some that worked for, Watsy and left. Others that have just put out their own shingle right from the start, because these are the creators with the imagination. Watsy has very few creators with imagination left. They take classic titles, rework it into a horrible mess, and then blame the original creators for shit that was never in it. And you got to put an end to that. And we put an end to that by probably letting go 90% of the current Watsy staff. Since I don't know any of the names, it wouldn't affect me any personally. But that would be the start. Yeah.
Well, Don, you're in charge. They call you up. They say we like the cut of your jib, sir. We're going to hire you. What would you like us to do here?
Well, I think first of all, I think they're looking at this in the wrong way. I think instead of looking at what can we do to not offend, I think what they need to do is they need to look at what can we do to improve the game. And I think that's where they kind of just lost track of this, because they have their priorities reversed. What they need to do is they need to take a look at it and go, okay, what made 5e popular? All right. What are the popular versions? And then take a look at each one. What made it popular? What were the positive negatives of it? And not worry so much about offending people, and take a look at your staff, who are performing, they're getting a lot of bad advice here, just in my opinion. And I just think what they need to do, if I was in charge, I think it'd be a mixture of reworking leadership. It'd be a mixture of reworking staff who do the creative process of it, rule writing, looking back again into what was popular about 5e, improving 5e, but pull out that and I hate to say it like this. I'm going to say something that's probably going to piss some people off when they watch it later on, but what they're doing is they are, and I really hate using this term, but they're more worried, I think, about being socially acceptable than they are about developing a good running, correctly operating, well-heeled game. And that's, I think that's how they have to look at it. They just get the priorities reversed.
Rob, you're in charge. They love Majestic Waterlands. They call you up. We'd like to. What would you like to have us do first, sir?
Well, I still have a moral obligation or legal obligation to maximize shareholder value. So that's going to be an one arm behind my back tied problem. But in an ideal world, if I owned it for some reason, I would make all the mechanics open content. I would then reconfigure the staff. I don't know the makeup of the staff, so I wouldn't go as far as say I would fire everybody. But what I would do is basically do what 2008 Kevin Feige did with Marvel. I would set the master plan, and I would hire the best people I could to write the most compelling situation, adventures that just make people go, I want to experience that as a character. And I would keep them I wouldn't make it part of like a grand scheme like the Marvel Universe, but I would keep them on, make them so that they build on each other. Okay, not like an adventure path, but over time you can see certain themes I'm playing, and but that would be the bread and butter of the products I sell, and making the mechanics open content beyond that, because that's a thing that I believe will be morally correct, is that it would generate a lot of free will, excitement, people generating their own content, and just like what happened with D&D 3E, it would keep the focus on 5E over other RPG systems. So sorry, rest of the industry, but I got to maximize shareholder value. But the strength of an RPG, unlike any other form of media or video games, is its ability to create an experience for the players. And the way you do that is give the referees the tools they can create that experience at their table. So that would be, like I have up there there are certain 5e adventures books that WotC has released on my shelf that I say are pretty good experience. The last one I would consider that to be, I thought Saltmarsh was pretty good. I got it, I looked over it, it's a well done. Now, is it the best it could have been? No, because I think because of their continuing fire of creative staff, that they never built up the institutional skills and memory that they needed to really pull it off. So that's what I would be focused on. So something like Saltmarsh and the other top tier D&D 5e adventures that we currently have, they would be the run of the mill, and the top would be the classic for the ages, like Tomb of Horror, Keep on the Borderlands, maybe even better, because we got 40 years, 50 years of experience over what they had back in the 70s and 80s. There's no reason why we can't build that with the kind of money that we have at Hasbro.
All right, Glenn, you're in charge. Are you still awake? You're in charge. You're in charge. Oh, this is great.
50th anniversary.
You're in charge. What are you going to do?
I missed that.
In one sentence or less, what are you going to do when you're in charge of WotC?
The show. Okay, fine. Well, first thing I do is I take all the 2024 books and bury them in that landfill where the ET cartridges are.
You did it.
Bring back.
It's the collectibles. It's the collectibles.
Yes, there you go. Dig them up while you can. I'd also figure out. Well, first of all, I bring back the current 5e. I mean, it may be 5e. I still don't like it, but it was better than what they put out this year. I would also. I don't know, the D&D underwear thing I kind of like. I have to have some place to put my 10-foot pole, but
God.
Anyway, I would like to
figure out. We're gonna move on from that. Tom, I'm leaving you for last.
Wait! I got something.
All right, you got one more. Okay, you got one more.
I got something here.
Almost lost it. Yeah.
I'd like to figure out some way to publish modules that aren't hoo-ha hardback $50
good point. Very good point.
Level 1 to 20. So go back to the old paper. It's got to be like cost effective, of course, for the shareholders and stuff. But if you do that, only put out more of them, like they used to do. Remember Dungeon Magazine? Mm-hmm. I love that. Same thing. Take a page from Judges Guild. They were turning them out like crazy. If you get some kind of consistent like that, then the money will come in. People will be able to buy things for relatively cheaper, not like the old days, but still cheaper, and they'd be making a pile of money.
Okay, Tom, you're in charge, buddy.
Well,
what are you doing?
First thing, I don't know if you can see my shirt, but I would take Star Frontiers IP and put it in Creative Commons.
Say it isn't so. I did not expect that out of you.
That would be the first move. Then I would resign and abdicate to somebody like Kelsey Dion from because I think she could. I think her like Shadow Dart game is really, really a nice fusion of OSR and 5e. I'd either advocate for her or Avenger Satanis because he at least knows how to market, even though he's explosive. Something along those lines. But I would not want to stay in the driver's seat at WotC. I would just get out because, Dave pissed in our Wheaties, and I've done my best to piss in WotC's Wheaties. And other than just doing a little, hey, Star Frontiers community, here you go. Now
Get the golden parachute before you go.
I'm going to tell you right. So far, Tom has had the most unique approach. He's going to bring back Star Frontiers, and he's going to put Avenger Satanis in charge. I have to admit, Gonzo, I love the Gonzo here. Okay, Jim, what do we got here? You're in charge. What are we going to do? But I do love the Gonzo, Tom. That is beyond Gonzo. I love it.
So, every great version of D&D has had at its center a creative team that has had a firm hand and guided it. And so we can think about first edition, we can think about BECMI, we can think about third edition, we can think about fifth edition. And to that point, like, I want to say that again, Mike Merrills never gets enough credit for crafting fifth edition and having that hand on it and steadily guiding it. Everything that we're talking about is a fundamental. There are fundamentals at play as far as the inertia of Dungeons and Dragons by the company that owns it. And they are in some ways very familiar with it, and in most ways very unfamiliar of how it lands when it hits the ground. So I think if you make me the guy tomorrow, my handiwork, my results are 18 months to 24 months away from actually getting to the market. But the first thing I would do is I would look to gather my new team. And I would look to have a few people on it. And Tom sort of stole some of my thunder, but the first person I would reach out to is Kelsey Dion. And I would say to Kelsey, I'm going to give you a giant Scrooge McDuck bin of money because I'd like to hire you to guide us for the next 5 years for what's coming next. And I would give Kelsey the authority to say what lives and what dies. And that would be an absolute linchpin thing, because truthfully, what I think WotC needs to do is WotC needs to step a bit back from we won't offend anybody, because you can't make great art without offending someone. Great art doesn't work that way. And I would empower Kelsey, or I would empower someone to say, right, I want you to think about the adventures and the bits and bobs of Dungeons and Dragons that have left such an incredible, indelible impression on all of us. First generation D&D players, we can think of G123, D123, Q1. We can think of Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. There's little nuggets here and there from all those early modules. Then, like the second wave, which is Deserts of Desolation, Dwellers of the Forbidden City, the Slavers, blah, 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 blah. And we think about all of that stuff. I would say to Kelsey, this is what I want. Like, this is what I would say to the staff, because the staff of WotC, I don't think you go and you start letting people go, because here's what I know in my heart of hearts. The people at WotC want to be there. They want to be making the world's greatest role-playing game. And we foolishly keep that out of our brains when we talk about this. We put that aside. But these people wake up every day and they come in and they want to make the world's greatest games. And the situation is very comparable to what the Games Workshop studio went through. And I've talked about this. Games Workshop studio, back up. So Games Workshop got a new CEO. Tom Kirby finally stepped down. Kevin Roundtree came in. He was from outside the company. He did not come up in the company. And he came in and he starts asking questions. I'm trying to keep a long story very short. But he went to the studio and talking to people, he discovered that they had 18 months worth of unreleased product. that literally one person was the gatekeeper and one person was determining what was going to go in the production schedule and what wasn't. And this person also had killed Blood Bowl, didn't think it fit in, blah, 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 blah. This one person was the dam holding all of this back. And so Kevin met with this person and said, well, I looked at the numbers for Blood Bowl and it sold really well and I don't understand. And this person said, as long as I'm here, we're not releasing Blood Bowl, and that's that. Kevin went upstairs to his office, and about 15 or 20 minutes later, called to have this guy come to his office, and he said, it's been a great run. It's been a long run, and I wish you all the best. Thanks for retiring. And that was it. And then Kevin went to the studio a couple of days later, and he had an all hands, and he got up on a little box, and he gave a great speech. And he told the studio, your only job is to make the best miniatures and games in the world. That's it. That's your job. Your only job is to do that. There are no reins on the horses. Go nuts. Everything in the backlog is coming out. We want only the best. And somebody needs to do that with WotC. Somebody needs to get up on the ammo crate, and they need to have an all hands. And they need to say, we're dropping the shackles. You know, this is an invitation for them to go towards the Book of Vile Darkness or the Book of Ponies That Fart Glitter. This isn't that. Right? This is a hard stop. Come to Jesus. We need to figure out what we've been doing wrong. We need to figure out, and by wrong, I don't mean what Hasbro defines as wrong. What we all know is what we wanted to do, but we weren't allowed to do, or we didn't let ourselves do it. And now the chains are done, the handcuffs are off. We're going to take a week. We're going to take a hard stop week, and we're going to identify everything that we have held ourselves back from doing, and we're going to do it. And this means working with your licensees. This means working with your largest buyers. They should go to Amazon and say, right, you are the biggest seller of our product. What do you want from us? And they should go to Gamma and they should say, you're the folks who are literally the bleeding edge of role-playing games. What do you want from us? Because we've been doing alt covers and those have done really, really well. But what more do you want from us? And they should deliver on that. And they should do, and to WotC's credit for 5th edition, they went out and they play tested the living hell out of it. And they took all the data and they literally crafted 5th edition by what the data told them. And data is not one person screaming on Blue Sky with 5 followers. Data is not the angry subculture of beardy old guys who have high foreheads. Data will tell them, and they can run with this, and they can absolutely have a third renaissance, right? If
data-based development is a win-win.
That's right. And
well, I had the feeling that they did that, and that's good to their credit. But then other people are going, okay, well, we can send out these like sea of supplements with all this other stuff that's just gonna kind of screw the game up and bog the game down.
But come on, like, hold on a second, right? Okay. So 5th edition landed, and 5th edition had some things going for it and some unexpected things going for it, right? Yep. We talked about data-driven. We talked about how well-crafted it is. Mike Merrill deserves a lot of credit for having led that. Mm-hmm. But then what they didn't expect was to have Stranger Things explode and drag Dungeons and Dragons in front of everybody and say, this was awesome and cool. And if you weren't doing it, you should have been doing it. And here's your chance to do it. And they all came flying into stores, and 5th edition exploded. And I can remember the table of kids at the Century Box every Saturday. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I think also what was a real thing is Stranger Things popped and then COVID popped.
Yes. Yes.
You know, it was this perfect storm.
Yes. It was 1, 2, 3. And then COVID hits and boom.
I would add the fact that the VTT technology matured just as
okay, we got to stick to WotC, but yes, that's a part of it. But really and truly, right? Like really and truly, all of this hits and suddenly they don't have a success. They have a phenomenon. But the problem is that at the same time, they start having, and I'll try to use the phrase fringes, that begins screaming and ranting about this or that or this or that or this or that. And the problem is they're conflict adverse. They're absolutely conflict adverse, and they don't want this. They don't want controversy because they don't want the brand associated with another kid getting lost in the steam tunnel or somebody's kid being sacrificed to the Slender Man or whatever. They don't want any part of that controversy. So they've tried, as it got stupid hot and things started popping up here and there, they started saying, whoa. We really need to clean this out. We need to clean this up, and we need to make sure that we don't have another James Eggert. And we don't.
But they didn't, though. I mean, if you look at the list for the upcoming Monster Manual, it has all this demon and devil stuff. You know,
that's not what I'm talking about, because they've just acquiesced on that. They don't care about that as much as they don't want groups who feel that, you know, it comes back to the discussion about the orcs. Why are the orcs in sombreros? I don't know. I don't understand why the orcs are in sombreros. It confuses me.
I don't either.
I think we know why the orcs are in sombreros. We do, and the reason why the orcs, I mean, they were mentioned. The reason why the orcs are in sombreros is because they're trying to make them more fun and familiar and friendly, and less.
I read that.
They're a playable race.
But here's why I say Kelsey, right? So I think we're on the cusp of a new generation of amazing authors who need to be the people who go forward. And it doesn't need to be anybody in our little group of 7 people. It doesn't need to be any of the old guard, right? We've all had a run in the sun. There are people that I can think of that I would love to have working at WotC. Kenneth Haidt is absolutely somebody who I would love to have at WotC. And Ken is the voice of reason. And that's the problem, is I think that there's people at WotC who have been burned. Okay, the Planescape book came out and somebody was deeply offended by something and called them out on it. And they got stink on them from this. And they were like, oh my God, we can't have that again. And every time one of those incidents happens, it makes them more gun shy, and they just try to make something that's more safe. And the problem is, you don't make great art by being safe. The Dark Side of the Moon is the single greatest selling album of all flippin' time because they didn't play it safe. They decided to write an album about the human condition, and literally they staked everything. They rolled the dice. And when you read all of the things that were written about the Dark Side of the Moon at the first time they played it, at the press club when they played it, the people reviewing it had never imagined or heard anything like it. Yeah. And that's the thing where you get great art. That's how you get great art. And Kelsey, the reason we talk about Kelsey a lot is Kelsey stuck the landing. She's shown she's got the chops to do it. She's gone out. She's created this thing, this wonderful thing. And she's somebody where you can say, I want to see what you can do when we empower you and give you assets and resources beyond what you are used to working with. And that is a spectacular home run. All you have to do is put the bits and bobs of the team together and let them play and stay the hell out of their way. And you can say, right, this is what we want. We don't want anything R, right? The Book of Vile Darkness, while clever and imaginative, was actually boring and trite, and I don't care. Yeah. I don't want a Book of Vile Darkness, but I do want a series of adventures. I want
Jim,
I ain't done. Hold on.
If you put Kelsey in, I ain't done. You've got to give her the power of the hatchet. That if somebody needs to be fired,
hold on. Wait. But
I'm going to have a counterpoint once.
Okay.
As long as I'm not interrupting somebody.
That's okay. Jim's going to wrap it up, and we're going to comment on it.
But really and truly, what she needs to be given is she needs to be. They need a head of the studio who essentially says, "Yes, go." If it's too far out there, if it's really too far out there, we're going to apply some brakes. That doesn't mean that we're going to not include it. We're just going to clean it up or pull it back some. But if it's tepid, we're going to find a way not to just, you don't throw spice into a meal just to make it extra hot. That's stupid. But you do write something that literally is evocative and emotive and is something that people will be talking about playing this adventure for the next 20 or 30 years when they reach a seminal moment in the adventure. Go,
All right,
Rob.
Rob.
Okay. We're playing the wrong game here. As much as I would like to see Kelsey get a WotC size, or not a WotC size budget, all we're talking about is to replace, which voice are we going to replace the voice that's currently at Hasbro? And the problem has always been, there's been one voice at D&D. This is a bad game to play, and it has bedeviled us since the start of the hobby. I don't care who you have at WotC. Mike Merrill, great. He did great with 5e, but he's still but one voice. And when his voice petered out, for whatever the reason is, then change happened. And everybody goes, wow. No, what we got to do and work with Kelsey with and other people like her, I want her and half a dozen other people of her generation, I want them all to have a place on the stage. That's why I've been advocating for decades now, open content under open license. This is the only way we're going to break the cycle. We got to stop looking to Hasbro for making D&D what it is. We, all of us, old and new and young, got to take charge of D&D. We got to get rid about bitching about what Hasbro does in the moment. I mean, it could be in 5 years that Hasbro get captured by an ultra-conservative who turns it into a Christian propaganda piece or a propaganda piece for anything else. And we're back in the same boat. It doesn't matter whose voice. The problem is if you have one voice, you're going to have problems. You need to have a multitude of voices, all have an equal shot at the stage and a forum. And I consider the fact that drive-through being the dominant as it is, as good-hearted or bad-hearted, as good or indifferent as they may be, the fact that we have one single marketplace dominating our digital sales is a problem that eventually we'll have to address. Yeah. But one voice is going to be our downfall, and what we should be is not worrying about what happened in Seattle. We should be worrying about what's happening in all. We should be helping everybody get their place on the stage.
All right, so I'm going to give mine here, and I appreciate. I thought everybody had great ideas. I do like Glenn's 10-foot pole idea a lot, but of course I would. Look, I want to riff on that because I was along the same lines as Rob and Jim and a lot of the other. I think Kelsey's a great idea. Hire someone like that. But Rob's right. One person is not going to do anything. And Gunn's going to kill me for this. I hired Jenny D. And I know that's a joke, right? But that's the kind of person I'm looking at. I'm looking at the people now who are on the internet, who have tens of thousands of millions of followers, who are really tapped in to what's going on in the world, not the suits up at WotC right now, who I don't think have that great a handle what's going on. Kurt may argue with me, but I don't think they do. I want to tap in to, as you said, the younger maybe the generation below us, the 30 to 40s, not the 50s and 60s and 70s, not us, and see what they would do. And not just one of them. I would get various guys. I talked to Ben Riggs. I talked to all these guys that have their foot in the door, and I would want somebody that has created something. If you haven't created anything, you have no place in my WotC. You have to have written something or created something. And I guarantee you, everybody right now on the board up there, none of them have created any kind of RPG content. It's all people who.
And my question is, and I'd really like to know is how many people on that board have played D&D or 5e? Probably.
It's not a job requirement.
I know,
Donna. I don't think they have. But that's what. Here would be my solution. I would go in. I'd say, look, we're gonna split this off into two different two different entities. And the reason is because we're not cannibalizing ourselves here. We're going to appeal to the older gamer, the 50 and above, and we're going to keep going with what has been our bread and butter, the absolute best-selling edition of D&D of all time, 5th edition. That is going to be sacrosanct. That is over here. We're not going to mess with that. We're going to do VTT with that. We're going to do everything. But we're also going to have a division where we're going to appeal to the old school gamer who has money, lots of money in some cases, and we're not going to cannibalize because right now those people are not buying our product. We're going to bring them back. Next year is 2025, the 50th anniversary of Tomb of Horrors, which came out in 1975, the convention version came out in 1975. We're going to have a 50th anniversary, and we're going to do it. We're going to have a box set. It's going to be gorgeous. It's going to be Beetle and Grimm to the 10th power. All these nerds who are 50 and older are going to buy a copy. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be the most incredible thing ever. We're going to do that every year. We're going to do a 50th anniversary of all of these classic models as they come out. 2026 is going to be giant. 2027 is going to be. We're going to do this.
Let me ask a question, Bad Mike. You mentioned a Beetle and Grimm style product, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
If IP legal issues weren't a problem, could the world of Kickstarters and print on the world of publishers that the OSR and other similar niches in the hobby, like could they produce such a box set?
Could WotC right now do that? Is what you're saying?
No. Forget WotC. Pretend that
you're saying just anybody.
I pushed the button and WotC went away and all the IP is free to everybody to use. Could somebody make a Beetle and Grimm box set?
I'm not going to say no. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you somebody could, but I'm not going to say it couldn't happen. But Beetle and Grimm, I mean, this Beetle and Grimm stuff is amazing if you've seen it. I mean, it's stuff that I think about buying even though I don't want the product, but because it looks that nice, it looks that amazing. So I don't know what to tell you on that, Rob. I think somebody probably could, but I don't think it's going to be easy.
So you're saying that we don't need Hasbro or Wizards?
Oh, but that's beyond the realm of possibility.
I see what you're saying. Rob, but that's not what I'm concentrating on here. I'm concentrating on keeping WotC as an entity, but bringing in the people they've lost in the last 20 years, which are basically anybody that played 3rd edition back, 1st, 2nd, 3rd edition. That's who they've jettisoned. We're not going to consider 4th edition for this, but because all they've wanted to do for the last few years is say D&D began 10 years ago with 5e. Let's bring in those older people. We're not going to compete. We're not cannibalizing. That was a big problem for 2nd edition. 2nd edition was accused of cannibalizing their own product because they had all these game worlds. They weren't bringing anybody new. They were just factionalizing people into Ravenloft and Planescape and Birthright and Al Qadim, and they weren't in Dark Sun. And so even though they had this incredible creative energy going on, it wasn't helping them because they weren't bringing in new people. We're going to bring in people they've tossed the last 30 years. And these people are the people that like the original stuff that will go out and pay for a premium edition of Tomb of Horrors. They will pay for premium reprints. They will pay for this.
But why it has to be Hasbro? Why can't? What if you mean to tell me?
Because I'm working for Hasbro now. I just got hired. Hasbro just hired me. I'm working for them, but I understand what you're saying, Rob. But I'm going by the constraints I put on there that I got hired by WotC to do this.
Okay.
And I want to make sure WotC makes the profit, not other people. But I understand what you're saying, Rob. That's an absolutely great idea. Because one of the first things I would do is absolutely 100% reinstate the OGL, and I would say the OGL is, as far as I'm concerned, in perpetuity. We're going to go to that. I would have PDFs of all the books, all the 5e books. They would immediately go to PDF. I don't give a shit about piracy. That shit's already being pirated.
Right,
Anything that comes out 1 week later, it's pirated. It's ridiculous. I would have PDFs or everything. I would say 5e, go do what you want to do. We're going to do VTT. We're going to see how that rolls. I don't know if it's succeed or not. We're going to do it. But we're also going to look back, and we're going to go to these people that succeed in the OSR, that have done well in the OSR, the people that the OSC guys, Gavin Norman, who made also made $1.8 million with Dolmenwood, as Kelsey made her $1.8 million with Shadow Dark. We're going to bring in all these people and say, what can you do for the old school player that's going to bring these guys back in? Because they are leaving so much money on the table. It doesn't seem like it's a ton of money, but I guarantee you, everybody here that's talked about it, we all know 5-10 people that are not buying WotC anymore. Everybody here. So it's all 7 of us. We could probably write a list and put 10 people on that list that aren't buying WotC. That's just us 7. So that's 70 people right there. Just keep multiplying it, multiplying that, multiplying that. That's the money you're losing. You're losing that money to Hyperborea. You're losing that money to OSC. You're losing that money to Shadow Dark. You're losing that money to Goodman Games. Goodman Games has been on a roll, baby. They're doing great. You're losing that money to Chaosium with Call of Cthulhu. In a perfect world, if I was head of WotC, Call of Cthulhu would have never succeeded as well as it is. But they allowed Call of Cthulhu to get their foot in the door and kick the door open. And now Call of Cthulhu is huge. It may be the second most, printed game out there, because every convention I go to, there's people complain there's so much Call of Cthulhu at this convention. Yes, they took what was offered them and they took it, and now that's Call of Cthulhu is everywhere. These are the kind of people that I want to bring back to WotC, and that I would do everything possible to bring them back. I would not do that by denigrating my creators. I would celebrate creators. I would celebrate the creative spirit of past editions, but I'd also have people like Matt Finch in there. And I'd have people like Kelsey, and somebody had said you need to
Matt Finch would be a really good choice.
You talked about giving Kelsey a hatchet. I would not give Kelsey a hatchet. Kelsey doesn't need to be doing that. This is my creative staff. They need to do creative things. I would have another hat. I would have another hatchet man. I would have a hatchet. I'd make Jim my hatchet man. Jim knows how to hatchet. He would be my hatchet man. Bringing him to hatchet.
Well, I gotta say. I hear you talk about money, and I say, if you do this, you hire Matt Finch, you hire Kelsey, and the money will be rolling into Wizards and by extension Hasbro. But you know what? How much money when I paid for the premium edition of Shadow Dark, it's back up there. You know where that money went? It went to Kelsey and the people she hired.
Absolutely.
So when I backed the Swords and Wizardry Kickstarter, you know where the money went? It went to
this.
But you're hiring him as consultant. You're hiring him to consult with you. Look, you're not saying that you're hiring them as consultant. Basically.
No, this is it. This is a strategic acquisition. You go in and you buy the entire company. You buy the company and you bring the people in from the outside. Okay. And this is a common corporate practice because really and truly what you're doing is you're identifying talent that can both supplement and it's a force magnifier. It's absolutely a force magnifier. Mm-hmm. And these are people who have already proven that they can do it on the outside. What you want to do is you want to take that spark, that fire, and you want to turn that into an inferno that works for you. And it would be very easy for WotC to say to Hasbro, we need to do a strategic acquisition, and we want to pull Arcane Library in, and we want to incorporate them. And this is what our org chart looks like beforehand. This is what our org chart looks like afterwards. Mm-hmm. And this is what we do. Now, the people at Arcane Library may be like, nope, not doing it.
But Jim, why stop there? You need to bring in Gavin Norman and OSC. Bring in the whole company there. I mean, and look, have a whole division where we're going to reprint BX because OSC is BX. It's the same thing. Bring him in also.
But the very first thing is, you got to get the people that you already have as employees invested and feel like they're, again, you've taken the handcuffs off. Like literally the thing that Kevin Roundtree did the same day that he lectured everybody and said, your job is to make the best fucking toy soldiers in the world and the games that go with them. And the next thing he did is they put a suggestion box. They literally put a suggestion. I'm sorry, he spoke to them on a Thursday, and on Friday there was a suggestion box. And then once a week, everything in the suggestion box would be reviewed. And if there was anything in there that they thought had some merit, you were supposed to sign your suggestion. And if there was anything that they thought had some true merit, that was something that was like, even like just barely above the 50% threshold, they would then ask the person who submitted the suggestion to write up a proposal. 1 or 2 page elevator pitch proposal. And the most fascinating thing out of this is the skirmish sort of board game, Underworld, Underdark. I can't think of the name of it. Not Underdark.
Necromunda.
No, not Necromunda. No, this is the small Warhammer skirmish game, and I can't. That was a suggestion in the suggestion box, and it was in print in less than 6 months.
Oh,
and that's the kind of thing you need to be able to do with the WotC staff. You need to be able to say, you know what makes Dungeons and Dragons great. What are we missing? Give us an idea, and if it's good, we're running with it, and we're gonna make a fuck ton of money, and that's it.
But why is that even desirable? The whole see, we're talking about a good king comes in, overthrows, replaces the bad king. Saw one of the courtier is blocking all those good releases and say you're out, but it's still the king pointing that guy, rather than each of those guys who came up with those 18. I think that was 18. You said that was in the back hopper. Rather than those guys having the ability and the resources to put out those 18 good ideas themselves. If they have the ability and resources to do that, if we built,
I'll tell you why. Because here you go. You asked, I'll tell you. So here's the problem. There are great people at WotC. There are great people at WotC that are simply under the surface. And when you go to war, you're stuck with who you got, right? Pearl Harbor happens, and the Navy, the United States Navy, that like every other Navy in the world had embraced Mahan's strategy about battleships ruled the seas. Anybody who said anything about submarines or carriers was laughed at, and you were an idiot. And so lo and behold, Pearl Harbor happens. And immediately the deadwood has to be chopped out of the Navy. And you get rid of the deadwood because what Hasbro needs to happen is somebody needs to walk into Hasbro and say, you fuckers are on a war footing. You're on a war footing. And this is it. And these people, these Nimitzes, the Nimitzes, the Halseys, the people who've been there, and you just have to drop the reins and let them go. That's exactly what needs to happen.
Well, that was a situation where that approach was warranted. But we're not talking about fighting World War II here after we've been sneak attacked. No, what we're fighting is creative endeavors, artistic artists being able to.
We're fighting a different
and having the resources.
No. They've already had 5th edition, and they won World War I. They had 5th edition and they won World War I. But now they've ridden their success to the point that now they're having diminishing returns. And now, and you can phrase it however you want, but I'm telling you, right? They are now looking at Call of Cthulhu, they're looking at Goodman Games, they're looking at Shadow Dark, they're looking at all the rest of it. And all those little piranha are taking bites out of their and now it's time to step back up. And we talk about we're theorizing at this 20,000 foot level of what to do. But the fact of the matter is at WotC's core are competent people who can deliver, and they have been delivering. We don't like what they've been delivering, and they're going to see a diminished market share. And what they have to do is retune, retool, and they're not going to be fighting the last war. They're going to be in a different war. And they're in a different war with a whole pile of different opponents who have taken advantage of every misstep they've made over the last 5 years and capitalized on them.
But the only reason we care is because legally they control what can be created with their IP. That's the only reason. That's the only power that they have.
It's a huge power. That's the only reason I own the food that you eat. And if you don't get my food, you don't eat. They own the IP. It's huge.
But to see the way they project that power is through printing books, through distributing PDF or other digital media. And that's where the game has changed. That's where the new technology has the battleship versus carriers. Well, the very terrain upon which we fight has changed to the point where one person can do what took back in the 70s, a company with a staff of a dozen can do. And if you had a dozen people all work together, you can do what TSR could do back in the 70s and 80s.
Sure, that's Arcane Library. That's exactly what
we should
We're
be
getting into the weeds.
Eric and I we're getting into the weeds here. Let's move on here a little bit because I think we've worked that because I'm looking at another question now that I think is interesting. Is so we're kind of beating around the bush here, but let's just go through it. Do we even want WotC back? Because I kind of like the way things are now. You know, I kind of like being able to sit over here and pick up my book of Dwarven Deep that Greg Gillespie wrote, and he wrote a great set of rules, Dragon Slayer. He's doing a great job. I don't know if I need WotC anymore. I don't think anybody here needs WotC. Do we really care what WotC does anymore? Or is this just something that we should be happy that there is Arcane Library?
Hey, this is just a bunch of hypotheticals about 5e. You know, I don't need it. I mean, you know, talk about 5e, fine. I'll talk about 5e, but I got all my OSR stuff back here. So yeah,
that's what right. So say we all. So is this? Are we just like fighting a battle that we don't really need to fight anymore? Because really, look, Rob's doing his own stuff. Don's doing his own stuff. We're all doing our own stuff here. Eric's doing his own stuff. This is actually kind of a kick-ass world of gaming right now. I'm looking ahead of the future. I'm looking with a lot of glee and happiness, thinking about, hey, you know, Kelsey's got a Kickstarter come March. Eric's got his game that's coming out. We got so much stuff coming out. You know, Greg Gillespie will have another super mega dungeon in 2 years. You know, Rob's got, you know, hopefully Rob's stuff is coming out sooner rather than later. We have the best of all possible worlds here. Do we really care? I mean, yes. Don't
forget the 5e world.
Unshackle Star Frontiers. That's all I really need. Unshackle Star Frontiers.
Flint, are you here or not?
I'm here.
So here's
the other point.
I'm going to say.
Talk about.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Let me just ask. I want to ask Flint real quick. So what do we need? Do we need WotC anymore? What is your opinion? Do we need them?
I don't think we need them as a company. I think we maybe would be helpful for others as far as their reach. I mean, you know, as far as what they are able to do, you know, globally, you know, versus what smaller creators can do, you know, within their realm. You know, so maybe there's an option for that, but I think the whole model would. I mean, I would say we don't need them, but we certainly could use them for other endeavors other than what WotC wants to do for itself.
So, but yeah, because the big dog's gonna steer the way things go. But ourselves, look, I'm not looking that far ahead. Look, I'm 61 years old. I'll be 62. I'm not necessarily looking 20 years ahead. I really don't give a shit at that point. I really don't. I don't care. I'm looking at how can I enjoy the next, you know, the twilight of my life. You know, God help me, it'll be more than 20 years, but it's not. I want to have a good, you know, fun next 5-10 years. So I'm doing fine. I'm looking around going, this is great. Do I care too much about what my kids are left or what the other generation left, or should I just let them solve their own problems? I mean, is that something, you know, that we should worry about? Speaking of stuff, you know, Greg's got great stuff coming out too. He's, you know, he's trying to figure out every way that he can remake Shadow Dark. I think he's coming out with Al Qadim Shadow Dark next month, right? Is that correct, Greg?
I think Greg's a good example of what I'm talking about. What was the setting that's like Elder Scrolls that you made?
Shadowrun. It's
Shadowrun. And somebody who really likes Elder Scroll mentioned it as a good RPG adaptation.
It is. It's really good. It's very good. And but he couldn't do that at WotC. That's something you need to do on your own, right? So do we need WotC? This is my question, folks. Eric, do we need WotC anymore? Or do we care? Should we care? Should we care about WotC?
Do we need to necessarily care about it? I don't know.
It's great for ratings. It's great for ratings, right? Every we do a show and we bash WotC, we get awful ratings.
As an OSR shill, I like WotC because we can beat on them because they tend to step on their own penis at least once a month, and sometimes more than just step. Sometimes they do a nice little jig. But the thing is, they are still influential. They still have the reach. They are still the rising tide that lifts all ships. So a successful D&D, a successful WotC means a more successful OSR indie publishers, and other games. If WotC were to leave the market, would the market cease? No, but it would suffer. And a lot of stores would go out of business, even though WotC doesn't care about.
If the rising tide rises all ships, the old ship of the OSR might flounder.
But bump.
No, seriously. I mean,
I thought you were talking about my old game.
It gets harder and harder and harder to.
Well, Greg, Greg, you do have a good insight in this because you do have some extremely successful small print publications. You did Shadow Rim, Shadow Sun. You don't need WotC, do you? Do you need WotC at all?
In a way, I'm glad that they're so terrible. I mean, this past 2 years, they have begun the foundational work for creating the 5e OSR. I mean, I couldn't have done that. They have been working so hard on creating the 5e OSR, man. They have released things that people don't want to buy so that they keep their books. They've been insulting people who aren't, switching over to what they're doing. I mean, like, I don't have a possibility of offending as many people as they do, and they are so effective at it. And the more people that they turn away, the more people are actually looking for something alternative, and that's where I step in. I'm the guy who is entrepreneurial. They're at the end where it's all corporate, it's all bureaucracy, it's all terrible. It's calcified.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm thankful for them being so.
Yeah, I think WotC is a very positive thing for the hobby in general, because what they're doing is they're helping drive, I think, an interest, not only in D&D, like the Stranger Things phenomenon and such, but they're also helping drive the OSR to an extent, because there's a core group of people that play 5e. And then they go ahead and they start hearing about the lethality of AD&D as an example, and they get curious about it.
I've absolutely seen that. Yeah, Don, I've seen that running an old school convention. Gary and I run North Texas. I will absolutely say that's true. We get people all the time that come to North Texas to play 5e, but they see all these old school games being run, and they're like, I want to play Gangbusters. I want to play Gamma World. Or I'd love to, and I tell the story over and over again about the kid I saw there, and I said, kid, he's in his 20s. And I asked him, I was at my booth, what games are you playing this weekend? Well, I'm playing 5e, and I'm also going to be playing in a first edition game. I said, well, that's interesting. And I said, well, why are you playing in first edition? He said, well, because I play 5e, but I want to play D&D on the hard level and see how hard it really was. And that's because you get the guys in, they play 5e, but they want to try other things. So, yes, I agree that it's great that we have 5e, they bring people in there. And I will absolutely say there's crossover in the hobby. And we do get more people because of 5e. But do we – so we need them to bring people into the hobby, but do we need them past that? They bring people into the hobby, great, but do we need anything?
We need them to bring them into the hobby. There has to be a foundational block that D&D is built upon for the younger generation.
Why?
And
I think so too. I agree. Then there needs to be something that brings people in, or else.
Oh,
by the way,
Joe came in. I didn't see Joe. He is fashionably late. An hour and a half, fashionably late, sir. Thank you.
I was cooking and cleaning and going to the gym and whatnot. And then I just logged in and I saw Greg say, WotC can't possibly offend as many people as I can. Or I can't possibly offend as many people as WotC can, I think he said. So I figured, well, that was my cue to enter and join the conversation, because, I could do that. But I agree. You need to have something that brings people into the hobby. I mean, they'll never find us. They need something big.
Well, I know that Tom wanted to say something in a second, but I have to disagree with you in that point, because tomorrow I'm running the second annual team building for my group that I work with at work. We had 5 players last year. There's going to be 9 tomorrow. Running an alien module. D&D isn't even being mentioned. It's all these people they're coming to play a role-playing game about Alien. They've seen Alien the movie. They don't need any more information. Bam, we're running 9 people. So those people are going to be coming. A lot of them are people who've never played before. There's two guys that played before when we went into the first session, and 3 of them who hadn't. Now we've got 4 more people that haven't ever played before. And I bet that if somebody in their life was like, hey, you know, I'm going to run a role-playing game, they would now feel totally confident saying, hey, let me get in on that. Let me join up.
Well, that goes back to Chicago Wiz's thing about putting asses in seats. Remember the early OSR days? That was his big mantra.
Oh, yeah.
Put asses in seats, run the game at conventions, run the game at game stores, run the game everywhere, and that's how you're going to spread the whole, you know, the gospel of the OSR. I think that the thing that most helped the OSR was 5e because it rose. All the ships rose up, and people, you know, didn't like it. They checked other things out. Honestly,
Well, the thing is,
here's the thing.
Go
When I said earlier that, you know, Hasbro was, or WotC was one voice. Well, they can only have so many PR people on staff. They only have so much money to go around. And any one of us, when we try to do this, only have so much money to round. But when you do an effort, when you have it spread around like I'm trying to push for, then you have multiple. You, instead of having 100, one company with 100 people, you have 100 people with 6 people each doing this stuff. So now you have 600 people promoting role playing and popular games as well. So that's where your foundational stuff, you have way more people promoting. And also, even though, and I want to make one quick point, even though it's all revolutionary, off with their head, what I rather have is having a humble but healthy Hasbro or Wizard of the Coast playing alongside all of us. And, you know, just like I would do like that for, you know, Arcane Library, for Goodman Games, for anybody in this. I want everybody to be healthy and putting out great stuff. So just to be clear on that point.
Tom, you had something you wanted to say?
Well, you know, I took the wife to the mall to get her nails done because, you know, your wife needs to get her nails done sometimes.
Get the nails done.
Sure, it was the wife who got her nails done, Tom.
It's just a good thing to do. She suggested I go down and check out this new store called Nerdcore, which actually was closed Monday and Tuesday. And I looked in and I saw that they were kind of like a Spencer's Gifts meets Dungeons and Dragons. And it was not going to be the store for me. And I went to this game store and not this particular book, but they had 2 copies of the latest book by the Game Masters book of random. This happens to be the Game Masters book of random. They had the one on traps and riddles and so on.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Yep, see those, yeah.
And I picked that one up for my stepson who plays D&D. He's working on his doctorate's degree now at the University of Maine, but he plays D&D, and you know, so he's in his 20s. And I got that for him at the store because it was only $22. I thought, you know what? There's no way I can get this on Amazon for $14 and get it here on time for Christmas. I'll get it. I walk down the Books A Million corporate bookstore. I walk in there. They got a big D&D section traditionally, and you know what? There was more of these than WotC rule books. Way more of these. I was like, oh wow! I didn't know they had, you know, of Epic Dragons. You know, there's a Game Master's book of Epic Dragons. There's a Game Master's book of Instant Cities. There's a, you know, and they had multiple copies. They had more copies when you added up all of this series plus all the other product that was not WotC. The role-playing game section was more third-party publisher than WotC. It was like there's almost this recognition going on with the standard businesses saying, you know, screw WotC, these other people are making us money, and so they're carrying the other product. And so to go to your question, Mike, about do we need WotC? Maybe not so much. Maybe not so much.
Tom, who makes that book? I've been wondering. I've been seeing those books too.
It's Jeff Ashworth. And the one I bought for my stepson actually had contributions from 3 Black Halflings, if you remember them, made by Kyle Brink. by going on their show and saying white men need to get out of the hobby.
So who's the publisher, Tom? Not who wrote it, Tom. Who's the publisher?
Oh,
Who's
the publisher.
distributing it?
Well, hardcover it's $22.99, which is kind of a price. Much cheaper than WotC, obviously.
No.
And yeah, it's not really in your face with
oh boy,
who the
it's a stealth publisher.
yeah, compatible with your favorite 5th edition fantasy tabletop RPGs.
Yeah.
Do they have an OGL license in there? Maybe that will list it. Who's copyrighted by?
A Media Lab Books for
Media
inquiry.
Lab Books.
Call.
Yeah.
Media Lab.
Yeah.
That's the same
Root
group who put
Media
out the
Lab.
Alexandrian book that he renamed it in his own name. The same publisher as that book.
They do a lot. I'm pulling up all their ISBNs right now.
Media
They-
Lab is a huge conglomerate.
Yeah, they've got like
Madeline
165 different ISBNs right now
Wow.
inactive.
I like Madeline Hale stuff.
By the way, we have not one, not two, but 10 of us on here tonight sharing wisdom. So this is the wisest talking crit of all time right here.
Well, we'll get off it.
Most long-winded, the wisest, the best looking I can imagine.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for.
Well, I did want to ask
Mike,
for you
I just
guys.
sent you a pencil. You don't have to soap me up like that.
I did want to ask for you guys' help. This year, I'm halfway to my goal. I'm hoping by end of 2025, I can be where I'm earning more money on the side from publishing as Chubby Funster than my ex-wife's husband does in totality. And we're halfway there, guys.
Wow. So what does he? What
that's
does he do? Is he a
goal,
janitor
Brett,
somewhere? Or what is? How is he making so little money? Does he not work?
So,
I mean, what's
so I was just looking at the numbers. We're getting close. We're just past the halfway mark. Next year, we just need a double.
either you're doing
I'll
really
win,
really
so-
well, or he's not doing very well at all. So there's something's wrong here. Something's going on.
By the way, quick thank you to Agile Monk, who not only became a minion, but then gifted 20 million membership. So
Is that worth anything in cash? Cash?
yeah, no, I mean, it's I don't know. After YouTube's cut, probably like
It's probably worth Electrum.
You know, that's painful there, Glenn. That's painful.
Ouch. I'll take it. I'm not a member for many clubs. I'll be an Agile Monk.
Agile Monk is right.
Good for you, Monk.
Had a discussion in my Saturday night group about how important it is also just for guys to have a place where they can get together every week and hang out with 4 or 5 other guys.
Well, I already have a group. It's called the Down Low. I already have that group going on. It's
when the wife says something, my standard line is, "Would you rather me go out every week and play poker and lose money?"
No, you're losing money if you're playing D&D, man. That's not a zero-sum game here. Yeah, that we're talking. Yeah,
you're definitely losing hit points.
At least I got something to show for it. You know.
Look around this room. Oh God, the money I've lost. Oh my God.
You should
see it. In Shadow Dark, you're losing characters like every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Agile, you are right. One of the best things you can do for mental health is tabletop RPGs.
Absolutely.
It's therapy. Right. But it gets you socializing. It gets you talking to people. It gets your mind working. Thank you for your service as a special ops vet.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't even know I had PTSD until I retired, because when I was active, I didn't allow myself, I guess, to even relax enough to realize my own issues. So this is a large part of my own therapy is hanging out with my friends. And by the way, you're looking at this group of people. I'm going to point something out here. I do live streams with everybody that's on here. I game with half these people. And this is my inner circle
It's your tribe, motherfucker. It's your tribe.
It's my tribe, and
Oh, it's your clan.
Brain trust.
We share a common interest. Okay, we share a common interest, and that is this hobby that we call tabletop gaming.
That and plus old age.
Well, yeah, we're except for Greg, who's a baby. Everybody else is easily 50 plus.
Medical sales.
I didn't even get to talk about my colonoscopy last week.
Oh no!
Thank
God. So I got one more question, everybody, and we're doing okay. Golly, there's so many people here now. I'm so happy to see all my friends here. So
we tried to break.
I feel like the Godfather's wedding or something where he has to go and shake hands with everybody. Tell everybody, we're gonna go around the circle. Everybody, tell me one good thing for 2025. Either something you have coming out, if you want to pick a product, something you're doing that's fun, or you're in a gaming group, a convention you're going to go to. Just tell me something, one good thing about 2025. Eric, we're going to start with you.
Just one? Okay. Can I make a poke? I'm going to 6 conventions this year. And of those 6, my favorite, the one I have gone to for over a decade, thanks to Joe the lawyer, having to bow out and making Rach my actual date. Going
transmission issues, motherfucker. Boys, transmission went. Goddamn, never buy a Ford Taurus. Never.
Rach was hooked. So this year I am going to 6 gaming conventions, and one of them I am going as a regular guest with no obligations except for the obligations I put on myself, and that's North Texas. But I am immensely blessed that when I go to these gaming conventions, it's the people on the screen, it's the people that are in the chat that I get to meet and spend time with, because they are my tribe, and I am blessed. And I can't stress it enough. 2025 is going to be a beautiful year, at least from the perspective of me spending time with my tribe.
Don, you got what do you got coming 2025? I know one thing you got going.
Yeah, well, on a personal note, I'm going to TotalCon, so that's really something I'm looking forward to.
As an industry guest,
yeah,
it'd be fun.
So they invited me, so we're going to be going there, and just it's going to be the first major convention. Well, going to Page also, but TotalCon, just a lot of familiar faces, a lot of people that I see online that I've never met in person.
Yep.
And that's really exciting for me. And that's on the personal front. And we got games coming out in 2025 through Wizard Tower Games. So,
Rob, what do you got going next year that you're happy about?
Well, first, I'm tickled pink that Don invited me as a guest of honor for WizardsCon, so that would be a first for me.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to that in April, right, Don?
It's in April, yeah, last weekend.
Yeah. And but creatively wise, I'm I'm looking forward to the fact that I almost have the draft of this done. I'll be off starting on Friday. I'll be off until the first of the year. So
focus in on that,
I have
Eric.
stuff like overview and stuff. It's not super detailed work.
What are we looking at exactly? Hold that up.
This is my draft copy of the Into the Majestic Fantasy Realm.
Nice.
Oh, excellent.
And
excellent.
I have it divided up, and I've been marking up stuff that I need to write about or fixed or add to there. And
nice.
And this will break, once I get this done, it will break the dam on some of my follow-up projects that I'm going to have a second edition of Scourge of the Demon Wolf. And the reason why I have to do this first is because this little area right here is going to replace the Wildlands section that I had in the original Scourge of the Demon Web. But I had to get this done first before I wrote that. So, and then my Majestic Fantasy rules is 90% written. So there's going to be a lot. I write slow, but I have a lot of stuff prepped in the hopper. after this, so it's just going to be a game buster year for me.
Glenn, what do you got coming in 2025?
Well, let's see. Of course, North Texas.
Oh, by the way, you're a special guest at North Texas too.
I am special guest at North
Yes.
Texas. Yes, it
Yes,
is.
you are.
Yes, I am. Hoping to get back to the Poconos next year with Becky this time.
Very cool.
And mainly, I'm looking forward to the new Gangbusters coming out. What, April? Something
That's
like that?
going to be premiered at WizardCon.
Oh, good. It's good. I'll have it in time for North Texas. Great.
Yep.
Jim, what do you got? What do you got next year that you're excited about?
Thank you, Don.
I don't know.
He's at a loss for words.
He's hoping to get promoted to admiral.
Oh my God!
I'm the rear admiral.
You're center square already. Come on, man.
No, come on, right? Like it's. So first of all, there's the auctions, right? So I'll be a part of a lot of auctions next year, 4 different auctions. So it'll kick off in March at GaryCon, then it'll be North Texas, then it'll be Gen Con, then it'll be Gamehole Con. And so, come on, each of these is very different. So GaryCon will be raising money for a charity specifically. North Texas is raising money for the show itself. Gen Con is batshit craziness for 4 days, and I'll walk away with COVID and probably syphilis. I don't know.
Probably. Come on.
And so then Gamehole is collectibles of a really rare nature. So, but like I got a lot of stuff, right? Like my kid is supposed to, in theory, graduate university at the end of next year in the fall semester. So like, I don't have to write those checks anymore. Somebody asked if I'm a member of HMGS. I'm not. I used to go to HMGS stuff, but I'm not a member. But more than anything else, I guess, I look forward to seeing everybody, right? So I'm sort of in a bit of a desert of gaming where I am. I do stuff virtually, but I don't have any close friends anywhere near me. And so really when I travel to shows is when I get to see people.
Amen.
And people who mean the most to me are the people that I know from conventions. It's why I try to get in early. It's why I try to stay on until the last minute I possibly can. I might be at Origins this year, but we'll sort of see how that goes with everything. But more importantly, we're at the age now where we start losing friends, and everybody that I have that I'm a close friend with, So I found out this week that I found out a few days ago that somebody I knew who was not a close friend but was a friend died in rehab. Sorry. And I'm not sure the particular circumstances, but my guess is it was a suicide. And so I guess what I'm saying is that these friendships that we've cultivated and crafted and put in all this time and effort over the last 30 years, when you ask me what's important into 2025, right, I've got all the mundane things, but really it's seeing everybody and spending time with people and coming up with horrible ideas for the midnight auction. Like,
oh God.
We are going to execute on some things that will be legendary.
I'm going to have to start going there again.
This is not going to
It's way past your bedtime, sir. Way past your bedtime, sir.
I did it once,
So the stuff that matters to me is the really important stuff because I'm long past like looking forward to products, because at this point I just hope I live long enough to see them. I guess maybe I'm going to write to Jenny Agutter and see if she'll actually sign a Jessica 6 picture for me. So if that comes in, that's like my big birthday present. I'm like super happy. I'm like one of those guys that still thinks Logan's Run's a lot of fun to watch. I don't know. Like I'm the Paul Lynde of our little merry band of misfits, but for the most part, I just want to close out 2024 and not lose anybody. And I'd really like to not lose anybody in 2025. And if I can accomplish that, stick the landing, I'd be pretty fucking happy. So
Flint, what are you looking forward to next year, Flint?
What I am looking forward to gaming with my high school friends. I'm going to be running games for them again on Friday nights. And so hopefully doing that with them. We took a little break, and so I'm excited about running games for them again on Friday nights. And I'm happy to hopefully be joining again at the North Texas RPG Con. I was there last year. Was my first time there. I had an excellent time. And so I'm looking to get more, maybe go to the whiskey tasting would be this time around.
As long as it's not German whiskey, Jesus.
And then maybe hang around for the midnight.
Oh yeah,
it'd be fun. Yeah. And then I just spend time on my channel trying to promote great people like Rob Connolly and his products and resources. I'm going to get over there to Chubby Funster. I'm going to start reviewing and showing some of his stuff off as well, and then just working on my own little zine if I can, and get that done.
Nice.
Come New Year. So, other than that, I'm just love hanging out and talking gaming with all these wonderful people here.
Well,
Tom?
if you need any maps for your zine, you know where to go to.
That is correct.
Tom, what do you got going on next year that you're going to be happy about?
We just, Tammy and I just got some really good news I can't talk about. I mean, Eric and Dawn know about it, but that is what's going to be.
The Viagra came in, right? The Viagra finally came in? That's awesome.
My 2025.
Thank you, Tammy.
I did hear that, yeah.
I'm getting a couple of surgeries lined up that will get me out of pain. I live with pain a lot. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And it's kind of put a damper on my gaming. And, it's okay because it's kind of 2025 is about retooling my life a little bit and, and moving forward. And, so getting those surgeries, getting out of pain.
You're going to catapult.
The good news that we got is really great news, actually. It's like a big anxiety lifted. So we're really happy on this end, and we're looking forward to working with Eric and Dawn in 2025 and just reformatting the life. It's unfortunately
exciting.
Stuff's got to work itself out with surgery and with family things, but
exciting things to come on the horizon.
Yes. And so that's 2020 for me.
Well, good luck on the surgeries, definitely, man.
Yeah.
Hope you Greg, what else? You got the Shadowrun version of or the Shadow Dark version of Birthright coming up to 2025, or?
Well, I did have some Al-Qadim stuff, but it's just still in the formation phase. Is that
Shadow Qadim? I like it.
My next big thing will be I've taken this about 300 hex keyed hex crawl, and I've converted it to a icon based system. So like there's an icon for here's the weather that's there. There's an icon for this is what you see. There's an icon for this NPC or that NPC. And then it's presented just in kind of a graphical style, but the content's fairly compatible from a normal perspective. But then I've written a set of solo play rules that work with this icon system, so that like you see an icon for the NPC, and you know that if you have to make a wisdom check in order to interact with this guy in a particular way, and if you fail, you can't read a part of the thing, but you can read the other part. So it's formatted so you could run it regular, like any other campaign setting that you want, but it's also formatted so that you can run it solo play, almost like a super huge choose your own adventure book, in using Shadowdark rules. So all the Oracle stuff from Shadowdark's solo play system is in play for doing the actual dungeons, and then this is for running towns and hexcrawl in that world. And once I get it finalized, I'm going to try to finally start actually making YouTube videos of me demonstrating how to do it in a solo play sense.
Cool.
Nice.
So that's what I'm looking forward in next year.
I'm interested too. I'm going to hate myself for saying this, but Joe, what are you interested in next year?
Well, I got a lot going on in terms of I'm stepping back from a lot of things I'm involved in. Like after March 1st, I won't be in Tim's show. After the end of December, I won't be doing the Friday night thing and wrapping up my 2-week campaign. I'm stepping back so I could actually devote more time to writing and hitting the gym more and getting healthier. And I want to, by the end of next year, by the end of 2025, I'm going to start play testing live on YouTube with a bunch of the people in this room right now. My own RPG. That's what I'm going to be writing. My own RPG and set. So I'm going to devote more time to YouTube and growing that, and grow the YouTube channel, at the immediate goal, and write my ass off, basically. And yes, Greg, motherfucker, Blood Island will be in there, you son of a bitch, for keep asking me for the last 5 years. All right, we'll be in there.
Shit, man, that's what we ask.
I thought Joe the lawyer was committed to 2E rules as written.
They were as written, but with minor house rules. Only 19
19 pages of house rules.
Joe, you could spell it BLUUD, and you could still do Blood Island, even though that other guy beat you to actually Blood Island.
There's a record of me having Blood Island out there like 12 years ago, man. I'll be his ass.
Get the Pinkertons to help you with Watson.
Yeah. Let me ask Botsy what their number is. Yeah.
All right. Well, I got mine. So I a couple of years ago, I started. We ended a campaign. I started a group, Doro Deep, the book I showed you, Greg Gillespie's award-winning, actually, 3-cast award-winning Doro Deep. I was lucky enough to put my original group back together after 40-something years.
Wow.
My brother, Dr. Joe, a friend of mine, Doug, and I brought in a couple of friends I've met in the last 20 years through the internet, through D&D. And we've played once a month because that's all we can get together a month. And I tell you what, it's been probably the best gaming experience I've had in the last 30 years because it's my original group all back together. That's and cool. It's just amazing how everybody fits into something like that. Everybody just goes right back into their roles they always used to have. And so I look forward to this every month. We have a game journal that I keep up on Facebook. We write up, and I'm just going over the notes because they are so excited about it. It's been over a year and a half since we started playing. They're so excited. They're bothering me. When are we going to play again? When are we going to play again? When are we going to play again? And so they decided we're going to play January 11th, and they told me we're going to play January 11th. I love that. I love when a group is so enthusiastic. They're like, we're getting together, man. And I don't know if I don't think it's just me. I don't think it's me as a DM. I just think it's the fact that we have a really good group together. And that's something, if you play D&D for a while or any kind of RPG, it's really hard to get that really good group together that just really has a great time and there's no friction and everybody knows each other and you all laugh and you all can tell stories at the table. You don't have any X cards because nobody's going to be offended by anything. I'm just really happy to have that. As somebody here said, Jim said, I don't want to lose anybody. And it makes you realize we had one of the members of the group that had to drop out this year. He has Parkinson's, and it got so bad he couldn't drive home at night. He lives quite a distance away, about 30, 40 minutes away, so he couldn't drive home at night. And sadly, we lost him in the group. That it sucks because he was one of the members, was part of my original group. We're so glad to have him play with us. But, we've all lost a lot of people in the last few years. And that's, as Jim said, I don't want to lose anybody else this year. I don't. I know it's inevitable, because we're getting old. But, that's why you have as much fun as you can while you can. And I'm really happy for this opportunity to play D&D with a really good group of friends every month. And like a lot of people mentioned here, I'm going to be going to several conventions this year. I'm really excited about going to EggCon. I'm excited about North Texas this year. I'm excited. I'll probably be a Game Hole again this year. Probably a Long Con again this year. I'm really excited.
ShireCon, Mike, come on, get up here, man.
I know. Well, I said I'd be at ShireCon this year, and so my wife and I are going to talk about it. We're going to see what we can work out with ShireCon. I've been threatening Tom to come for the last few years. It's about time to put up or shut up. So I think I'm going to have to put up. But and I love, Eric and I first started hanging out together at cons, and we would sit there and go, here's how we would change the gaming world, and we would sit there and talk because when you're working at a booth at a gaming convention, there's really very little to do until somebody comes up and actually buys something. And we were working the Frog God booth, so that didn't happen very often. God, I hope Jen and Zach aren't listening. But anyway, that's what I like to go to conventions for. I like to see Jim, and I like to see Glenn, and I wish I could see the rest of you guys at the convention. I wish Joe would come back someday. I'd love to have Greg and everybody come to North Texas. But it's just great to see all these guys and just laugh and have a great time. And you got to remember, man, we are not getting any younger. We have more days in back of us and in front of us. and look, if you want to play in that game, if you always wanted to run a Gamma World campaign but you never did, you know what? Just do it.
Yeah.
There is no time like today. I think of all the stuff I wish I could have done the last years, or the last 20 or 30 years, and I just think all the time I wasted. And I was thinking, man, I just want to play games with my friends. That's what I wanted to do.
Mike, I heard something today that somebody said to me. It was like something to the effect of, today you are as young as you will ever be.
Oh.
No matter what your age. You know?
Yeah.
Just hit me. It's like, fuck yeah. You got exactly, Agile Mike. Just do it. Just whatever you want to do, just fucking do it. Get out there and do it. Because
I'm really happy. I know how much Glenn loves Gangbusters. I'm so happy that he's getting his new Gangbusters. I'm happy for everybody else too. I'm happy that I look at the OSR and I think it's just awesome. I think what's going on.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't wait to talk to Kelsey about our new Kickstarter. It's going to come up in March. I think it's going to blow doors. It's going to be awesome. I mean, just all my friends that work in the OSR now, I just love seeing them being so successful. So many of them had great, and look, I'm not blowing smoke here. I sampled Greg's stuff, Chubby Funster stuff. I loved it. I loved Shadow Sun. I love Shadow Rip. I mean, he really does. That's really great products. If you see those, go to drive through and buy them. They're really good stuff. But I love to see stuff like that.
They're excellent stuff.
You can tell they're labors of love. They're labors of love, but they're also really, really good games.
You talked about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Glenn. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say you were talking about doing things now because you can't do it when you're dead. But what really struck home is when I read Mark's Gangbuster BX intro, where he said he was in the hospital and a guy died next to him.
Wow.
And decided it's time for me to rewrite this game, because I kept putting it off. And he was in the hospital. Some older guy died next to him, and it's like, okay, I'm going to go do this thing. So yeah, you've got a point there.
Sometimes you need that catalyst, right? You need that push. Yeah. And look, I have my own fantasy heartbreaker that I've been working on for years and years and diddling on and working on, and that probably needs to come out. That probably needs to come out too. I'm really excited to see what Eric's coming out with, because I really want to write some mini adventures for his game system when it comes out. Well, actually, I've already written them. I'm just going to need to transfer.
What did it for me is I did the math. I went and it's like, when did I first start doing stuff on my own? 2009. That was 15 years ago. I'm 59 now. What's 15 years from now? I'll be 74 fucking years. Am I going to be doing this when I'm 74? Maybe a little, but if I'm slow now, I'm going to be really slow then.
Oh, dear. I got a pitch. Whichever one of you old guys wants to write this first. I'm a young little baby at 43, but I got a pitch for you guys. You know how there's like a growing genre of movies of old people who just reach a fuck it point, and then they go and do like a heist movie where it's all like old people, they go and they get their money out of the bank, or they do whatever the thing is, they get back to people. It's like Ocean's 11, but they're all 87. So you could make that role-playing game where each character you gotta go through like a traveler style thing to see if they even make it to 77. And then you gotta
I died. I was lactose intolerant and I died at 83.
All roles are made at disadvantage.
It'll be like Traveler character generation, but on steroids and with a lot of terms added on.
Okay. This is a good idea.
You guys wants to write this.
You have to roll the medications chart. There's a medications chart.
Oh, yeah.
It's not long, and you have to roll 5 times on the chart to see what you're on. Oh, let me see.
This has been made. Just base it on the movie The Sunshine Boys with George Burns.
Yeah.
Go back to that little chestnut where those guys were robbing banks.
All right, let me see. I'm rolling dice. 56. I'm on insulin. Synthroid, blood pressure medication.
Yeah.
I'm on all these, by the way. So I'm
Hey, all I'm saying is,
isn't it time for us all to take our meds?
Do it. Send
All
that
right, well,
cable out to
It should be
12
it should be
term.
based on all of us guys. I mean, if Eric got the
You're welcome.
Boston mobster guy going. We got Gilligan in the center square. No, like Skipper in the center square.
It's
And I
Mr.
got to
Hell.
make
Come on.
Gilligan to the right there, and who and I'm the pothead at the bottom. I mean, it's a perfect thing.
Yeah. Where's Shaggy? Shaggy and Scooby Doo at the bottom.
Well, this podcast is feeling like a 3-hour tour, so you may have something.
You made it personal, so you made it personal.
I do have to drop though, guys. So have a great New Year. Thanks for having me over here, and we'll talk to you all soon. All right.
Hey, thanks for coming.
Take care,
Yeah,
guys.
good to see you, man.
You too.
Anyway, I don't think I have anything else to add except I'm just looking forward to another year of gaming and hang out with all my gaming buddies. That's what I want to do, and luckily luckily at my age I see a lot. Look, I see a lot of people that are my age that are not living their best life and having a rough time, and a lot of them are lonely. I have a lot of friends that are very lonely. I have a friend now that's a shut in. I grew up with him. We went to high school together. I drive him to his doctor's appointments. He has no living relatives anymore. His mother's father has passed. His family's passed, and it's really sad. And we've even asked him to come play D&D with us, and he's as much of a hermit as he can be. He said no, he doesn't want to. But I look at that, and I just say I'm just so happy that that I'm able to have a support system, and I'm able to have friends that. That wouldn't allow me to do that. You guys wouldn't allow me to do that. If I said I wasn't going to go to North Texas, no. That there, I hear a honking noise, and I look out the door, and then Jim would be driving the car with his hat on, and and Eric would be saying, "Get in the car, motherfucker," and Glenn would be in the back asleep, and and so.
Oh yes.
I had to jump in the car and head to so I'm just glad I have the friends, and we're able to talk about this great stuff every year. And next year is going to be a great year talking crit. We have so many people we're going to talk to. Oh my gosh, we have some great shows coming up. Right off the bat, we got some great guests coming up and people to talk to. And so I'm just happy for the community. It's a great community, and that's one of the reasons I asked the question: do we need WotC? Because honestly, I'm having the best time of my life gaming now, and it's probably the first time in my life that WotC is so far TSR WotC / is so far into my rearview mirror. I really don't care what they do anymore. I mean, it's fun to make fun of them. I like to laugh and point, but I don't need it anymore. I got my friends. I got my rule systems. I got my games. I'm good. I'm really good.
I'm good.
Let them go destroy themselves.
Wow.
What do you say, Eric?
I can't believe that we were able to get 10 people on. We had Jim in the center square, so he was pulled in.
Eric,
Douglas.
Eric, it's not like we're trying to squeeze into a VW bug or something. So
no, it's one of those.
Well, I don't know. I have a
It was close.
Well, this is like what was it? The Tarsus or whatever it is from Doctor Who. It's got infinite space on the inside. The TARDIS, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
We can keep on expanding it. But this is nice.
I can just guess how Friday's going to go now.
Well, God only knows. I'm sure we'll have Mike. So don't
Eric, you can start a new show called D&D Crossfire, and you can have people. You could just move the squares around, have them yelling at each other sideways. It would be like
Mike, you ignorant slut.
Yeah.
But quick reminders, folks. There is no live stream next week. That is Christmas Day, and even if we'd love to be with you, our families would kill us. So that's pretty much.
Eric,
yes?
I sent Mike his gift. You got something coming in a couple of days, so keep an eye.
Okay. Thank you. Awesome.
You're welcome.
Saturday, Gamers Help, and we moved to Sunday this week because I apparently bought tickets for Jerry Seinfeld and then forgot about it.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, nice.
But, it was one of those, hey, Rach, you want to go to see Seinfeld? She goes, I'd love to. And then I forgot about it, but I did it.
What happened with me and Becky and 3 Dog Night? Same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, want to go 3 Dog Night? Yeah. Huh?
So Gamers
Help. Go to New York? Huh?
Gamers Health will be on Sunday night. And this little forward-reaching New Year's Eve, will be something like this because we're going to come on right tonight, probably around 11:30
New Year's
Eastern.
Day, don't you?
Right, New Year's Eve, the day before, when people celebrate the ball drop. We're not going to the bar. We'll be on here with our community.
Watch all ball drop. Sorry.
Yeah. If you're not drops, it's not the same as your ball as the ball dropping.
Mine dropped a long time ago.
Yeah, because you had the 10-foot pole you were trying to put.
I'm just afraid. I'm very afraid.
No reflection on my Gangbusters games, please,
folks. I would say we've overstayed our time at this point.
Welcome. Overstayed our welcome.
Beyond that, tomorrow night, though,
the other guys that get 86 from the internet.
Don, Tom, and myself will be on at 8:00. At 9 p.m., I'll be popping over to the Discord to hang out. And 2025, there will be probably a once-a-week live stream during the day. It will be solos. I will work out the details later. So on that note, thanks to the panel, the Hollywood Squares,
Thanks for having me.
the Tic-Tac-Toers, and thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to Agile Monk, who gifted 30 gift memberships.
Wow.
God bless.
Oh, wow.
God bless you.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks from now, we should be back unless we decide we're too hungover. Which I'll be the first.
I'll be okay. I'll be fine.
I'll have a little champagne, then I'll wear my fresh hat, and I go to bed. Be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well.
Good night, folks.
Thank you so much, folks.